All right, thanks for staying with us. You're still watching Daybreak here on Arise News. Now time to look at what the papers are saying. And Emmanuel Bello is still here with us. Let's start with our own sister publication this day, as we usually do. This day has on its front page, Tinubu on Democracy Day, sore losers don't deserve victory in future polls. He had some space tribute to Abiola, other matters of June 12, apologizes for pains associated with removal of fuel subsidy. Afenifere charges president on actualization of Abiola's dreams. Atiku, it's time to reflect on our democratic journey. Our democracy is deeply troubled, says Obi, the candidate, of course, of Labour Party. All right, let's look at some other stories there. You look at that picture there where you have the Vice President Gagdi, a member of the House of Reps, and Betara, who stepped down. Both of them have stepped down for the chosen candidate of the APC, Abbas. Sirika accuses Nadio of demanding 5% shares in Nigeria Air, and on that black strip with white writing, bandits and rampage in Niger communities killed 38, kidnapped scores within 48 hours. And just above the This Day logo, let's see what it has here. ExxonMobil appoints Adeswa Dozie, vice chairman of his Nigerian affiliates. And 10th House, G7 crumbles as Betara Gagdi stepped down. I just talked about that a while ago. That's for the State newspaper.
Let's take a look at The Guardian Nigeria this morning. Leading headline: 30 years after, pro-democracy activists remind Tinubu of June 12 ideals. Leading photo there of past and present leaders of Nigeria with the mantra of the Abiola campaign, Hope 93, and also President Tinubu's campaign mantra, Renewed Hope. And just below that, daunting expectations from Shonubi as CBN house cleaning begins. And just below there, the blue strip, DSS lacks power to investigate and prosecute Emefiele. That's coming from activist lawyer Femi Falana.
The Punch leads with court stopping the EFCC, the ICPC, DSS from arresting Yari. Of course, you have that court order splashed across the front page there. But the story above that is that of Democracy Day. It says the President Tinubu hails MKO Abiola, promises to ease subsidy removal pains. DSS seizes Emefiele's passport, plans home office search. That's by the nameplate this morning. And atop the masthead, presidency backs Christian Senate President Betara Gagdi stepped down. Over $56 billion, lost to oil theft subsidy advisory panel. And that's the front page of the Punch for you this morning.
All right, let's look at the Nation newspaper. June 12th, while we must defend our democracy by the President Tinubu. Expect better deal from me. Judicial reform has started. Abiola's sacrifice should not be in vain. And then manufacturers' capacity utilization drops to 49% on high energy cost. Shetima's last-minute push swings support for Ababio and Abbas. My Nigeria Air story by ex-minister Hadi Sirika. And then you see the former CBN governor Emefiele's exit and the fireworks before suspension.
The Nigerian Tribune this morning, similar headlines. Let's just take the two at the top there. Your sacrifice shall not be in vain, President Tinubu tells Nigerians in his first broadcast. And also race for speakership, Betara Gagdi stepped down for Abbas after meeting the president.
Okay, let's take a look at the foreign papers very quickly. The I newspaper. The I newspaper says Nicola Sturgeon has described her arrest as a shock and deeply distressing. And the paper says the arrest deepens the SNP crisis for the Scottish First Minister Humza Yusuf. Of course, the headline there is end of an era in UK politics. Sturgeon arrested, Johnson out in cold.
All right, that's for the eye. Let's look at The Financial Times. UBS draws lines for Credit Suisse staff amid fears of cultural contamination.
All right. For the press review, let's bring back Emmanuel Bello, who's still with us. Emmanuel, thanks for staying behind. Let's take a look at what's making the front pages today. Obviously, President Tinubu's first broadcast on his first Democracy Day as president. That's leading the front page of this day, and we just discussed that. So let's take other headlines. Sirica accuses Naji of demanding 5% shares in Nigeria Air. He was on Arise News yesterday talking about the issue surrounding Nigeria Air. I'm sure you watched that interview, Emmanuel. What did you make of it?
Well, it's kudos to Arise, the network, because I think he spoke to us exclusively, and everyone was dying to hear what he has to say, because that's Hadi's Serica. And a lot of people wanted to hear his own side of the story, because it was mind-boggling. The accusation was something else. Some people even say, look, it took if corruptions were award-winning situation, that was the award winner in the profiles and the stories that we've had, of corruption. The very notion that we had to practically lend, pay for an airline that will just carry a logo. It's also the amount of money that is due. But in this, his retort yesterday, he tipped the whole thing backwards and actually put his accusers on the run, sort of. We need to wait for them now to say what I think they've responded already, that it's a bunch of lies that they didn't demand for. Essentially accusing his own accusers of demanding for bribe. It makes it a bit more, more curious for many Nigerians. It doesn't really answers all the problems, all the issues around what people are talking about, what really happened. We need more clarity, more light, beyond the accusation, what happened. Hadi was a bit very, very, detailed and very, I think, he spoke more or less in financial terms and all of that, trying to prove that, look, nothing went wrong. There was transparency in how it happened and everything. But I think more people want some answers, and the first story is out there already anyway. And of course, going forward, it's going to be defense. But Nigerians don't seem to be satisfied with the fact that beyond the logo, we don't have our carrier on ground. So I think there's some need for some kind of follow-up, some kind of understanding. But it's not a new thing altogether when members of the House of Reps have been accused of demanding for percentages of essentially bribe. It's almost a very, very familiar story. Not that we will get used to it, but it's always there. It's always happening when there's some kind of whistleblowing for people who are accused to say, well, okay, they were not the only one in this. There was some corruption. It doesn't actually bring light or even closure to the issue. It just generates more kind of controversy around it. So I guess a robust explanation and more questions, more answers will bring the matters to some kind of understanding. But as it is right now, that the members of the House of Reps demanded for 5% or whatever he was talking about, doesn't seem to have actually rested the matter, especially in public domain, where Nigerians are asking the valid question: where are the planes? Where is the carrier? Beyond the logo, what's going on? And it's a story that's ridiculed a whole lot of people. But it's a good thing to see Hadi there talking about it and trying to give his own side of the story.
An answer, and Arise, we continue to give a right of reply to all involved, including Honorable Noli Naji, who was mentioned yesterday during that interview. But staying with the front page of our sister publication this morning, Emmanuel Bello, G7 crumbles as Betera Gagdi stepped down for Abbas. That's ahead of the inauguration on Tuesday, tomorrow. What do you make of that? Is the APC finally having a grasp of its house?
Yeah, this was sort of, but of course, it still leaves that whole, test in the matter, and you begin to ask yourself what went down, what were the compromises done. But then this is all in the realm of politics. Stepping down, we're no strangers to that. But yes, for the APC, it gives them a brighter chance not to have the sort of situation that they were all scared of, the 2015 scenario, where they were upstaged by opposition, practically opposition elements upstaging what the party originally planned for. So that fear, that disaster, the political disaster, has been averted by the stepping down of Gagdi and Bitara. Of course, their followers might wonder what are they, what are they, how did they trade in their ambition? What's the buy-in or the take back from there? But whatever it is, those are things that are in the realm of politicians and what they do behind closed doors. What we do now is that, and is that going to be replicated in the case of the Senate? A lot of people wonder if that will happen. Will Akpabio be able to pull off the same kind of scenario? Because at this point, it's really for Kashim saying that look, we really need a Christian Senate president. Again, brings up the whole issue of religion in politics, the Muslim ticket, those things that El-Rufai was saying. And in fact, even the import of June 12th today, this was talking about earlier, that at one time, this Muslim ticket wasn't even such an issue with Abiola and Kingibe way back. It was something that nobody really cared. Good governance was at the center of it. But whether I would like it or not, it's a different era altogether. Religion is taking center stage, and in this Senate race, that is also going to play out, because those issues are already coming up, and that Akpabio, who is a Christian from the South, seem to fit in that bill, even if the Southeast is saying that, look, this is to go to them. So these are various issues, but for now, yes, it's respite for the APC that they've settled the problem of the House of Reps.
All right, let's look at Guardian, and just very briefly, I'll take into stories, but let's just take one. Nigeria's democracy imperfect, but has scored again, says EU. The question is, what democracy is perfect? Even the America we copied from, it was a shame during Trump's, during the election, that he tried to truncate democracy, an election where Biden was elected. What do you make of that statement by the EU? And then if you like, 60 years after, reality of United Africa hampered by xenophobia, says a report. Very briefly, Emmanuel.
Well, yeah, I think it's the ongoing conversation, and throughout today, indeed, there's going to be a lot of conversation around the brand of democracy. June 12 brings out those kind of emotion, and you can see on the cover of the Guardian, even MK on one side. It was about hope. Back then, it was about the subject of hope, and again today, it's about the subject of renewed hope. So I'm sure there will be a lot of parallels being drawn, a lot of comparison being done at the end of the day. How has our democracy deepened and all of that. I think the xenophobia story is also very interesting, and it's just, this whole black on black crime that you have all over the continent. We should be finding some kind of solution to be able to live together as brothers on the continent. So I think that, again, June 12th brings out all of those issues, our democracy, not just here, but across the continent, how the continent has actually fared in the issue of transitions, especially.
Emmanuel Bello for joining us this morning.